All right, today in the teaching, here's what we want to do over our next 3 Sundays. We want to help your life. How does that sound? Are you up for that? You up for getting a little help in your life? I don't know about you. I need some help in my life. We're going to give you some help today. Next 3 Sundays, we're talking about seasons, the seasons of our life that are constantly changing. Today, we're going to help you understand, how do you know what season you're in? Next week, we're going to be talking about transitions. What season am I transitioning into, or what season am I transitioning out of? Normally, we see people mess up their life by transitioning wrong, not well. And they end up going really fast in the wrong direction. We want to protect you from that. We want to help you with that. And then the last Sunday of the teaching series, we're actually going to talk about the season that we're about ready to enter into as a church. I believe it's going to be super helpful and super encouraging. And so before we get started, I need you to make me a promise. And here's the promise I need you to make. I need you to promise me that before you find out what season you're in, you will make a decision right now to embrace your season. Because you may not be in the season you want to be in, and that's totally okay. But will you promise me, not even really me, but God, that whatever season you're in, you will embrace the season? Come on, put your hand up if you can say, I'll do it. I'll do it. Even though it's scary, even though I don't want to, I'll do it. I will make that promise. Because here's what you got to do. You've got to embrace your season. You've got to embrace the season that you're in. Even when you don't want to be in the season you're in, you've still got to embrace the season you're in. Why? Because that's how you get the most out of the season you're in. You don't get the most out of the season you're in by wanting to be in a different season. You've actually got to sit and receive the season that you're in order to get everything out of this season. Because if you don't get everything out of the season you're in, you won't have what you need for the next season. You got to get everything you can in this season. And so today you're going to get some bullet point preaching. I want you to know I never preach like this. Today you're getting a bunch of any bullet point people, just like you love your notes and your clean lines and linear thinking. You're going to get bullet points today. So let me give you some seasonal wisdom first. Number one, you need every season. Now, all we want is harvest season. All we want is growth season, but you actually need every single season. If you were only in harvest season, can I tell you what would happen? You would be exhausted. You would be so worn out and tired. You would be struggling. You need the winter seasons of your life. You need the rest. You need things to slow down. You need the seasons when you feel barren, because that's when God does the best work below the surface. So you have to understand that I need every season, not just the seasons that I think I want. I actually need every season. Number two, you can flourish in every season. Even in the hard seasons, even in the tough and difficult seasons. Psalm 1, he is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields fruit in its season. Its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. You can prosper and flourish in every season. Like the kids say today, I can kill it in every season. You can be killing it in every single season, but you have to embrace every single season. I love this. The leaf does not wither. It means that there's still life. There's still prosperity and progress and growth and health in every single season. Number three, every season requires faith. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just tell the Lord, like, can I just be in a season where I don't have to do anything? Where it doesn't require any faith? I can just like sit and receive and be happy? No, every season requires faith. There will never be a time as a follower of Jesus where you won't need your faith, where you won't need God, where you can just buckle up and pull yourself up by the bootstraps and do it in your own power and strength. No, it will always require a faith, a trust, a dependency, a reliance upon God. Every single season in your life requires faith. Number four, here's the good news. Jesus is working in every single season. Now, I know you've had those seasons where you're like, well, I don't know if he's doing good work because I'm not seeing nothing, right? No. In every single season, Jesus is working. Here's what he says. He says, my Father is working until now, and I'm working. He's always at work. And the Bible even tells us what he's working on. He's working for your good. And your good is him helping you become more like him. Because nobody lived a better life than Jesus. Nobody had more freedom. Nobody had more joy. Nobody helped more people. Nobody gave more glory to God No one lived a better life than Jesus. And so he is always working in every season with you and for you to become like him. In every single season, Jesus is working for you, with you, on your behalf. He's working every season. Number 5, Jesus gives fruit in every season. Now here's an amazing portion of scripture. Jesus sees this fig tree and he says he can't find any fruit on it, but it looks like it should have fruit, but it doesn't have any fruit. And he says it's not the season for figs. Here's what I want you to see, is Jesus expects fruit in every season because Jesus gives fruit in every season. You could be in a really hard season. You're like, this makes no sense to me. This isn't helping me. This isn't fruitful. This isn't effective. No. It is. A lot of times the fruit in those seasons are happening below the surface. You don't see them on the outside. You don't see the fruit of your labor. You don't see the blessing or the reward, but it's happening internally. It's happening below the surface in your life. See, there's fruit in the winter suffering season. We need that season in our life so things can grow below the surface, not just above the surface. There's no resurrection without a death. In the winter seasons of our life, we've got to let some things die so that he can then resurrect other things. This is one of the books that I've been reading during the 21 days of prayer, My All for Him. And I want to read this portion that I read this past week that was just so helpful. She says this, so even times of spiritual dryness and hardship yield choice fruit. If we do not wish to go through a dying process, our love for Jesus will die. If we choose a dying process, we receive the season that we're in. The divine life of love will blossom because Jesus will find room in us. Think about that. She says this, she says, you are here, what else can I want? The dying seasons of our life is actually where he resurrects us into first love again. Jesus gives fruit in every single season. Number 6, our rhythms stay consistent in every season. Now I want you to see this verse. He that observes the wind will not sow, and he that regards the clouds shall not reap. I want you to see this. This person is a sower. They're sowing. They're in a rhythm of sowing, and then all of a sudden, seasons change, wind blows. Can't sow today, the wind's blowing. And that makes sense because what people would do at that time is they'd have a knapsack and they'd take seed out of it and they would toss it. And if the wind was blowing, it would scatter the seed maybe somewhere they didn't want it to go. But what happens is when things in our life changes, normally what disrupts us is we stop doing the rhythms that helped us flourish in the season that we were in. And so then as a result, the very things that helped us find a rhythm and momentum and get consistent, we stop doing those things. And now we find ourselves in trouble. So what does it mean about the person that regards the clouds and doesn't reap? Well, I know I should go out there and bring in the harvest, but it's raining out. I can't harvest when it's raining. Well, talk that to the vineyard workers up in Napa. They're going out come rain or shine. They've committed themselves to a rhythm, right? So we have a rhythm of life as a church. Confession, Sabbath, giving, serving, prayer, weekly fasting. We have a rhythm of life that helps us to receive all that God has for us and helps us release all that God puts within us, right? We've got to stay committed to the rhythm of life in every season. And can I tell you, sometimes that can be challenging because the things around us are changing, but our rhythms can't. And if we stay committed to the rhythms, we'll see the fruit and we will continue to flourish and prosper in every single season. And then lastly, number 7, you can shine in every season. That means you can have peace and joy even in hard seasons. Even in tough seasons, you can still smile. You can still shout, you can still worship, you can still rejoice. God can still use you in every season. Now we think, no, I need to get in like this new season and then God will use me. No, let me tell you, God mostly uses our pain and our weakness. That's mostly what he uses. He doesn't use our shiny trophies and accolades and awards. No, he normally uses our pain. I love what Pete Scazzaro says. Why do we only look for God in success when he is equally present in failure? In failure, you can still shine. You can still glow with joy because my joy is not, it's not a temperature gauge, it's a thermostat. It's not based on what's happening around me. It's based on what God is doing in me. And I can have full joy even if I'm walking through the valley of the shadow of death. You can shine in every season. There's joy and peace available in every season. And knowing what season we're in helps us persevere and continue to shine and glow in every single season, even if it's not the season we want to be in. All right, now I'm gonna teach you the complete opposite. Let me give you a lesson in sabotaging your season. Here is how you sabotage your season. Number one, be jealous of someone else's season. Come on, we've all done it. We've all done it. Those are the people that you were following on Instagram and then you unfollowed. Because you're like, I'm sick and tired of seeing all their blessings. I'm tired of seeing all their promotions and all their vacations and all their great meals and all the great things they do and their new pair of shoes. And so what happens is instead of celebrating somebody else's season, we get jealous of somebody else's season. That's how you sabotage your season. I'm gonna get jealous of somebody else's season and I'll ruin the season that I am currently in. Now here's why this is important. See, the people that you're jealous of, guess what? The season that you're in now, they're gonna be in your season before long. They're not gonna stay in that Instagram frameable life with the perfect filters and light and smile and hair and clothes. No, that season that they're in, they're only gonna be there for a very small amount of time. The season you're in that you may not want to be in, they're going to be in that season before long. There's no reason to be jealous of somebody else's season. Here's a good one. Oh, it's just a season. It's just a season. I've heard that excuse so many times. Can I tell you something? You can lose your marriage in a season. You can destroy your career in a season. You can lose your kids in a season. You can go out of your mind in a season. Your mental health can fall off a cliff. I've had people tell me, I'm just exhausted. I've been working 80 hours a week. How long has that been going on? Well, I'm in a startup. It's been going on 3 years. 3 years is not a season. That's not a season. That's a lifestyle. That's a destructive way of life that is not sustainable. That will destroy you, your mental and emotional health. Oh, it's just a season. Okay, sabotage the season that you're in. Here's a good one, number 3. We like to call our sin a season. Let me break this down for you real quick. Your mounting debt due to a spending problem is not a season, it is a sin. That's a sin, not a season. It most likely is tied to greed or instant gratification, which are both par for the course in the modern world that we live in, but that is not a season. What's needed there is a heart turned to the Lord to get free so that he can help you get out of debt, because debt is a slave master and it will drive you and force you and give you insane anxiety and steal your peace. God has so much more for you than that. So let's not call our sin a season. And then number 4, hurry the season that we're in, right? Come on, we've all done it. It's at the end of winter here in the city, the rain stops, and we're so tempted to wear shorts when it's 48 degrees outside, right? You're like, I wanna wear the shorts. I want it to be spring. And go ahead, you can wear those shorts, but you're gonna freeze, right? Don't try to hurry the season that you're in. I remember in college, this was back in the day, I'm dating myself, when Abercrombie was cool. And I remember we had this guy in our dorm, and it was like the end of September, and he wore this wool sweater, because he really wanted it to be fall, right? My folks in the Midwest, they're all about that spice, that pumpkin spice, and sweaters and flannels and boots and bonfires and all this. And he's wearing this wool sweater. I'll never forget it. Walking to class, it's 90 degrees at the end of September, and he's sweating buckets because he's hurrying the season he's in. He's trying to hurry up and get through this season to get to the season I want to be in. No, that's how you sabotage your season. Don't do that. So how do we actually know what season we're in? That's a really good question. How do we know the season that we're in? Well, the first of which is spring is seen by new things. It's seen by new life. It's like new life is popping up everywhere. New things are happening all around us. There's the spring season of life. And then we have the summer season of life. I think we have this slide. The summer season of life is there's growth. Like it's not just new signs of new life, but it's like the things that popped up in new life in the spring are now growing. Like things are happening. There's an acceleration of life and growth. But in the summer season, there's also pruning. There's also some things that need to be taken away. You gotta mow the lawn. You gotta trim the hedges. You gotta stay on top of the growth. And with that, there's preparation. That in the summer season of our life, we're preparing for the harvest season of our life. To bring in what has grown, to bring in all that God has provided. And then we have the fall. The fall is harvest. There's reaping. But let me tell you something about the harvest seasons of our life. It's a lot of work. But here's the good news. It's energizing work. It's not exhausting work. It's actually energizing work because we're part of what God is doing. We're co-laboring and working and walking with him. And so the fall season is an exciting season. And then the winter, right? The winter, there's a slowing down. There's a dying process that is actually necessary and important and beautiful. And in that death and that dying and that letting go, there's a resurrection of new life. In the winter season, often we can be discouraged because we're not seeing what we want to see. But in that season, we learn how to rejoice and celebrate past seasons of God's faithfulness and his blessing and his increase. And so as you see these 4 seasons, and there's a lot of nuance and skill and wisdom in each of these seasons, we're gonna do our first Selah moment today. This is where we talk amongst ourselves. The word Selah means to pause, consider. So with those around you, here's the question. What season are you in? Is it the spring season, the summer season, the fall season, or are you currently in a winter season? Let's take 2 minutes and let's talk with those around us. What season are you in? All right. Now, I do want to say this. This is important for all of us to hear. I know when we talk seasons, obviously there's a lot of interest. And just let me say this straight up. I know we're drinking out of a fire hose this morning. I see people like frantically taking notes. We are going to send you this week in our newsletter all the slides today. So I know some of you have taken like 29 pictures already. Like, We will send you a link to all the slides. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, just go to exp.church. It'll prompt you. You can sign up. In the newsletter this week, we'll put up all the slides so that you can follow along. And this is a great opportunity for you to talk about this with other people in your discipleship cohort, your community group, about these seasons of our life. So I know we just gave you the opportunity to consider what season you're in. Now I'm gonna actually give you a framework to understand how to discern and locate what season you're in. So we've given you seasonal wisdom. We've given you how to sabotage your season. Please don't do that. And now we're giving you, okay, here's how to actually discern what season you're in, or potentially what season you're transitioning out of and into. All right, here's the first one. Slow down, zoom out, see Jesus. Here's Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. In our generation, it's I take my eyes off of my screen and I look up to Jesus. You won't find your season on your screen, guys. You'll only find your season when you lock eyes with Jesus. I slow down because it's hard to see him when you're moving too quick. I zoom out because we're way too zoomed in. And I get my focus and my attention on Jesus. I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? He wants to help you. Can I tell you, the creator of seasons, he knows what season you're in. And he wants to help you flourish in the season you're in. And so it's gonna require a slowing down, a zooming out to see Jesus. This is what we did last week in Seek Week. This is what we did. For many of you that came in maybe once or twice or multiple times, or maybe you're the crazy guy that stayed 18 hours straight. I love you. It's gonna be really easy for you to discern the season you're in because you've created time and space to fix your eyes on Jesus. Here's the second one, watch patterns. This is really important. Watch patterns in your life. Have I been in this season before? Are there any recurring patterns that I see in my life when I was in this season in the past? Matthew 24 shows us that God gives us signs for the season. Just like in fall, what do we see happen to the leaves? They begin to turn color, right? Oh, it's indicating. You feel that crisp air, right? Not so much here in the Bay, it gets hotter. And it's the only time of the year where we actually get bit by mosquitoes is the month of October, which is right around the corner. There are signs of the season. So you've got to watch the patterns. Are there any reoccurring themes, any recurring things that happened? Or even as you read the Bible, were there any patterns of this season showing up in the Bible and any characters that we read about in their life accounts? Were there any patterns? So I'm zooming out, I'm putting my eyes on Jesus. I'm aware of the patterns that are happening around me that would point me to my season. And then thirdly, this is a big one, receive wise counsel. So we are about building sacrificial community at our church. And so I've got to create space in order for me to connect with other people, in order for me to understand the season that I'm in. I want you to hear this. There are gonna be times in your life where God will not tell you your season. He will tell the people that you're in community with. And he will withhold the knowledge of your season. He'll withhold that knowledge, but give it to the people closest to you. And it's only there that you'll receive it. It's only there. And you got a couple of extra notes that I wasn't supposed to put on the slides that are showing up on the screen. And I know you're reading it like, what does that even mean? All right, here's a good one. I remember when I came to Jesus, I liked girls a lot. And Jesus was leading me into a season where I needed no girls. I actually needed to develop my own faith. I need to be purified. I need to be holy. I need to be sanctified. And when I originally met my wife, Amanda, I saw her and I'm like, who is that? Good Lord, right? And right away, the Holy Spirit, back up. You need to develop your own faith. You're not ready for her yet. You try to take her right now, you're gonna ruin her and ruin you. And so we were friends for 3 years before we dated. And God sanctified me, sanctified her. And when we came together and began to date, it was a beautiful thing. We were ready for it. We were able to steward it well. So there are seasons that we've got to be ready for, that we have to receive wise counsel. And I had some fathers in my life that were discipling me, and they're like, Mark, you know what? You're really grown, but I don't think you're ready for that right now. And I did not want to hear that. I wanted to pursue. But no, that wasn't the season for me, right? Wise counsel is so important. Receive wise counsel. Now let me say something. Google is not wise counsel. ChatGPT is not wise counsel. No. IG Reels from people that you do not know is not wise counsel. I feel like being a dad this morning. No, it's people that God has placed in your life that know you. They know your weaknesses. They know your tendencies. They know your temptations. We're not creating a culture here where we hold people accountable. What we want to do is we want to hold people close. I don't want to be held accountable. I want to be held close. That's what Jesus does in his family. He's not this dictator that keeps people accountable. No, he's a father that holds people close. That's what he wants to do. Number 4, pay attention to the hellos and goodbyes. This is super important. Watch the people that God sends you for the season, hellos, and watch the people that God removes, the goodbyes. Pay attention to the hellos and the goodbyes in your season. It will indicate to you what season you're in and what season God will be bringing you into. I'd also look at the opportunities that come to you. What are the hello, the new opportunities? What are the goodbyes, the opportunities that are no longer there? These are understanding and paying attention in our season to receive and embrace the season we're in. All right. Seasons change, God remains. I want you to read this verse. Your eyes focused and clear so that you can see exactly what he is calling you to do. God wants to give you clarity in your season. He wants to give you clarity. Eyes focused, that's putting your eyes on the hills, not on your screens. There's a clarity that comes. You can see exactly what he's calling you to do, and what he's calling you to become in every single season. Now, here's the incredible thing. Seasons change, God remains. But for us as the people of God, there is one season that will never change for us. We are always in harvest season. John chapter 4, I want you to see this. Do not say there are 4 months, then the harvest. Look, I tell you, lift up your eyes. Again, get your eyes off your screen. Get your eyes out to see everything that's around you. See the fields that are white for harvest. Now, what is Jesus saying? His disciples are saying, no, it's not harvest time. People aren't ready. People aren't ready. People aren't ready. Jesus is like, There are broken, hurting, sad, sick, depressed, anxious, lonely people everywhere all the time. And so for you as a follower of me, we are always in harvest season when it comes to hurting, broken people. There will never be a time for us as disciples of Jesus where it's not harvest season. There will never be a time where Jesus is like, nope, I'm not saving or helping hurting people right now. I'm too busy with other things. That will never happen. God has strategically placed near to you someone right now that is ready to say yes to Jesus. It could be at work, it could be in your neighborhood, it could be your son's soccer coach. It could be someone around you right now. Every single one of us are invited into harvest season every single day. There will never be a day as a believer that you're not in harvest season, that God has not strategically planted you next to someone that's hurting, that needs what you have. So every one of us have got to receive the harvest that Jesus is putting all around us. And so with that said, I want to share with you something really exciting. We're going to be starting with over 150 churches across the Bay joining together for what's known as Explore God. Check out this video. Worship team, come on up.
I think it's important to explore God because sorry, it's a big questions.
Well, because I think we have so much in between us and the knowing of God, and I think a lot of that confusion leads to a lot of the pain and suffering in the world.
If I could ask God one question, it would be, why are we here?
What's the meaning of life?
What do you want?
Why do you care so much about me? What were you thinking when you made life?
If we were created in his own image, why are there so many different kinds of people?
Why can't everybody be happy? If somebody had the answer to that, I'd like to hear it.
One question? I have like a million questions.
What are we doing here? you know? Like, give me some guidance, please.
Sharing that with other people so they know what true love is the only thing that matters.
All right, Explore God coming up at the very end of September, and here's what we're inviting you to be a part of. On Sundays, we're gonna be teaching through what we believe are like the 7 most important questions that people in the Bay Area are asking themselves about life, faith, meaning, and purpose. Is God real? How do I know? If God is good, why is there pain and suffering? Why am I here? These are the questions that we're going to ask and teach on Sundays. And then we're gonna do a discussion with dessert downstairs, 7 o'clock on Tuesdays. And we're creating a safe space where people that you know can come and ask life's biggest questions. And you know what? We're not gonna give them any answers. We're not shoving the Bible down their throat. We're not gonna be these know-it-all Christians that have an answer to every question. No, we're just gonna provide a space to listen and to consider and to think and to share. And we're gonna invite them into a community where they can take steps to explore what they believe and what they think and what they consider. And behind the scenes, guess what we're doing? Behind the scenes, we're praying. Behind the scenes, we're asking God to show himself, to reveal himself, to speak to them, to make sense of all of their questions, to make the mystery of his goodness clear. Behind the scenes, we're committing ourselves to praying for each of them like it's your own brother or sister or mom or dad or son or daughter that doesn't know Jesus yet. We're inviting all the churches across the Bay, over 150 churches will be fasting at least one day during these 7 weeks. As a church, we'll be fasting every single Wednesday till the evening meal and praying. We have a prayer rhythm in our church. Every day at noon, we pray for at least 3 lost people that are close to us but far from God, that don't know the love and forgiveness of Jesus yet. And so we're inviting you to write those 3 names down and pray over these people that you want to invite on a Sunday, and then to stick around on a Tuesday and to enjoy a discussion over dessert about these big questions of life. I believe that Jesus can show up, Jesus can meet them in a profound way. And I believe many of you will lead one of your friends or family members to Christ by the end of this year. Can you imagine that person you've been thinking about, you've been praying for? Can you imagine? You're gonna see it here in a moment with the folks getting baptized. Can you imagine when they meet Jesus and it all becomes real for them? And Jesus puts back the pieces of their broken heart and life, and you see them completely transformed in front of your eyes? That's what's on the other side of your invitation. So as a church, we are in harvest season, and we're staying here. We're living here until Jesus comes back. This is who we are. This is what we get to do. Behind the scenes, we're praying. We're asking God to do something that we can't. Turn a heart, shift a heart, enlighten someone's mind and eyes. But then our job is to invite. Our job is to offer. Our job is to include as many as we can so that they can meet Jesus. Let's stand on our feet this morning. I want to invite you to begin to pray and write down those 3 names. You're going to be hearing more about this every week until the last Sunday of September, where we kick off this collection of teachings on Sunday. And that's when you can start bringing people with you on Sunday for those specific topics and for the discussion on Tuesday evenings. Here's what we're going to do now. We're going to finish our worship experience this morning by responding to God's love. The creator of seasons wants you to know what season you're in and wants to help you flourish in your season. In the back, during this next song, we're gonna have some amazing prayer leaders. I'll be back there, would love to pray with you. Maybe you're here today and you're like, I don't know what season I'm in. I wanna know what season I'm in. I need clarity, I need discernment. Would somebody pray with me? Yes, we would. We're here. We would love to pray with you today. Or perhaps your heart is stirred today. You're moved with compassion. You wanna see these 3 people that we're asking you to write down. You wanna see them come next month during these 7 weeks, really of harvest. If you wanna pray for those 3 people, you wanna join our faith with yours, we're gonna be in the back. We have some well-trained, beautiful prayer hosts that are gonna be in the back that would love to pray with you and for you. Let's worship Jesus this morning.